Welcome to Hotspot with me, John Pennington, and Chetan Narula, who's now moved back to Hamilton. Morning, Chetan.
Good morning, John, from Hamilton, or I should say good evening or even good night, because it's probably no, it's not probably, it is night time, and should be sleeping if I want to make the match tomorrow.
Well, it's been a bit of a whistle-stop tour down to Auckland, now back to Hamilton. I understand you've had a bit of a swim as well.
Absolutely, came back early to Hamilton on Sunday morning, and then staying with a friend from India here, and he took me to this beach. It's called Raglan, and um, you can see the Tasman Sea there, and it's quite a nice beach to surf around or just take a dip. So yeah, being the ocean fanatic that I am, I took a couple of dips. Very very icy cold water, and been recovering ever since.
Rather you than me, Chetan. You're a braver man than I am with the cold water. Now let's talk cricket. What a fantastic game at Eden Park in Auckland. The game was tied. Just give us your reflections on it as you were there.
Well, there was a time during the match when India were 146 or 145 or 6 odd for 5 wickets down. They were chasing 315 for saving the series. You're not talking about winning the series, you're talking about saving the series, keeping the series alive. And they were 5 down with only MS Dhoni there, and you had Suresh Raina just gotten out, and you had R Ashwin who was walking in instead of Ravindra Jadeja, and you just felt, India just trying to play for overs. And I switched on my iPod and started listening to some songs because I was almost done for the day. And suddenly you see MS Dhoni gets out, and then Ravindra Jadeja walks in, and suddenly something happens. I think New Zealand were caught unawares. If the readers can read our latest match point that I sent in earlier today, uh, I particularly feel that with that particular partnership, with R Ashwin scoring those runs in Test match style, playing along the ground, getting boundaries though, and Ravindra Jadeja just staying there with him to be at the other end. New Zealand had that moment in the 43rd over when they would drop both of them, you know, dropped Jadeja and missed a stumping chance of Ashwin. Those 2 wickets gone in the very same over. That was it. That was game set match. But it didn't happen because New Zealand were caught out. They were just fumbling a bit, and it was not just about those dismissals. I mean, it was all over the field. It just seemed that the energy, they were just panicking a bit. They didn't really expect such rearguard action because boundaries had started flowing in, and they were scoring at almost 10 runs an over, which was actually the required rate at that time. So New Zealand were flustered. I woke up from whatever I was doing, stopped listening to songs, and because I knew that I had to redo my match report, and India were on the money. And
They'll
what a
rewrite.
fantastic, yeah, they will rewrite, and
But we'll,
yeah, and Ravindra Jadeja just got his 50, and R Ashwin got his maiden ODI 50, and what a superb match! What a superb end to the match. Both sides have spoken since about how this match was equally balanced. Both sides played good cricket. Both sides played bad cricket. So tie was a deserving outcome, and I couldn't agree more. I thought a scintillating game for us neutrals watching, or not neutrals, or whatever the case may be. It was a scintillating game for both sides. New Zealand didn't lose the series. India still alive in the series, and what a game!
where does that rank among the sort of most exciting games you've been to, Chetan? You've been at a few.
Well, yeah, I've been to a few ODIs now, obviously, um, representing cricket world at most of them. I think one of the few matches, I would say the most exciting matches were, of course, in India winning the World Cup final, because again that was not really a tie situation, but you had MS Dhoni coming in and playing a stellar role. We had lost Sehwag and Tendulkar early, and Gambhir was playing this role with Virat Kohli, and then MS Dhoni came, fine rearguard action, and even towards the end, there was just this. It was a World Cup final. It was that sort of energy in the stadium that night. I think one of the most exciting matches was obviously the India-Pakistan semi-final as well, because again, that sort of energy there, and that was really a more of a humdinger than the final. Um, Misbah ul Haq brought them just within 30 odd runs at one stage. The other two games from the World Cup that I remember were obviously the India-England uh, group game at Bangalore. That was also a tied match. So this was my second tied match that I've witnessed. And also I think England South Africa match in the World Cup at Chennai. I missed the India Ireland match on the same day to watch that particular match, and South Africa, England were bowled out for 190 or I think less than 200, and then they won the game bowling South Africa out. Stuart Broad taking 5 wickets, fantastic performance from him. So quite 4 5 ODIs over there. Just that really counts a lot from whatever I've witnessed so far.
And you spoke when you were sort of looking back at Auckland, how India were able to score at 10 plus runs. But doesn't that really just show the influence, I suppose, of 2020 cricket and the new rules in ODI cricket? Because at 150 for 5, chasing more than 300, you don't often win from there. But more and more, we are seeing teams stay in the game.
It's not just the IPL or the T20 that's responsible for that. Also, the fact of the matter is that we have now fielders outside,
Yep.
5 fielders inside the circle at all times. So even somebody like a Jadeja or an Ashwin can back himself to score those runs at 10 runs and over. When once they are set, once they are confident, they back themselves to get those runs, and that's what those two batsmen did. And it's not just about those two batsmen. If we look at India's performances over the last year, you can see the top order chasing 350, 350 plus, and that confidence, that self-belief, half of it, of course, comes from IPL because these batsmen have played on these patta wickets for a long time and they can just hit through the line. So even 350 in 50 overs at home is not impossible. And again, another statistic, if you can pull it out from this particular series, the Indian batting is not firing, even then they are getting very close to the New Zealand total. You just have one or maybe two people who are scoring runs out of 7. But New Zealand, their entire batting lineup is firing. They're getting almost 300 in every game batting first. They have 5 or 6 or 7 wickets in hand when they get to the 35th or 40th over after the second power play. They're getting to 300. Their plan is working very well. The Indian batting is not really working at the moment. Even then, at Napier, they lost by 24 runs. At Hamilton, the second ODI, despite Duckworth Lewis, I mean, if there was no Duckworth Lewis, they would have overhauled the New Zealand score by 6 runs because they scored 6 more runs with 3 lesser balls. But they lost because of the Duckworth Lewis method again. As I said, I'm not really cribbing about it, but just pointing out the obvious. They did score that many runs. They just lost by 15 odd runs, which is very good effort. You're chasing 297 in 42 overs. And again here, despite losing 5 wickets and 140 odd, they scored 315 in the end, 314 in the end. So India are fighting. Things are not going their way, but they're getting very close. And I think that's somewhere where New Zealand will be very worried because this is a sort of momentum shift because India will be very buoyed by that tie that they've got. It's almost that they've escaped from death penalty. I mean, they were dead and buried. New Zealand had the chance to just finish off the series right then and there, but they couldn't. And India just came back and they're still alive in the series. That's what they wanted in Auckland. That's what they got in one way or the other.
Just want to focus for a moment, Chetan, on New Zealand, because with all the talk of obviously Ravindra Jadeja's performance at the end, I wonder if Martin Guptill's century is almost in danger of being forgotten. Just talk about how well he played, and it's a massive boost for New Zealand to have him back fit and firing.
Absolutely, I think they have their batting sorted out really well at the moment. New Zealand, it's a preparation for the World Cup next year. I think they're really going very well about it. They have Jesse Ryder and Guptill, like Jesse Ryder provides you a brisk start. Guptill and Williamson and Ross Taylor get into that role of taking you to 30th or 35th over where you have 7 wickets in hand and you have Corey Anderson, Brendan McCullum, Luke Ronchi and Nathan McCullum, Tim Southey. The batting lineup is still number 9. I mean, that's really a very long batting lineup. All of them can score runs, all of them can get you quick runs, and I think this is the perfect combination for playing these ODI rules. You need batsmen at number 3 and 4 who can save you those wickets after getting that brisk start. And I think maybe India should really revisit their batting order. India also really need to look at what sort of players are sitting back home because for India, Suresh Raina is not really firing. Ajinkya Rahane is batting at 4. He's just getting his feet in, and again, Rohit Sharma, Shikhar Dhawan not there at the moment. So when you compare that with New Zealand, you have Kane Williamson scoring runs, you have Ross Taylor scoring runs, you have Corey Anderson hitting runs, and then you have Martin Guptill who's now started to come on his own. First match at Napier, he got a start. Second match, he got a 50, and this time around, he didn't throw it away. He made sure that he got to his three-figure mark, and that's something I would like to see Kane Williamson do as well because he's had 350s, and on 3 occasions he's thrown it away. In Napier, he played a shot that was very uncharacteristic of his innings. In Hamilton, yes, because he wanted to get scoring with just 8 more overs to go. So he got carried away there because obviously Corey Anderson can score at a much quicker pace. You want to get him there. But again, I thought it was a very uncharacteristic shot at Auckland. There were 3 centuries for the taking for Kane Williamson. He's missed out, but Martin Guptill has done well to get his 100.
Now, as the series gets back to Hamilton, I watched a bit of Mahendra Singh Dhoni in his post-match press conference. He was obviously staying optimistic, saying India can still draw the related. What have you heard from the players since, and obviously building up to this game?
Well,
I don't know whether it's just me that's lost Chetan now, but we seem to have had a problem with his signal. That was just going to ask him about what he'd heard from in and around the India camp. We found out from Chetan indeed prior to the last game that there was a slight injury down here. Of course, went on to play. So that's the next question to him. It does look as if we may just have lost our signal, unfortunately. Just another moment or two to see if he's going to come back to us. Unfortunately, that's not looking very hopeful, is it? It looks as if we've unfortunately lost Chetan there. And well, usually we have indeed lost him. But we'll give him a moment because he might just be able to rejoin us. So I was going to obviously get our predictions for the remainder of this series, and we're wondering whether we should really bother because we haven't had a great time with things. Both of us were going for India to win this series before it got underway. Obviously that can't now happen, but they are at least still in with a chance of drawing the series after that brilliant tie up in Auckland earlier on in the series. But if he comes back, we'll see what he thinks about this next game in Hamilton. I mean, if you look at the scorelines, New Zealand winning by 20 odd runs in the first game, then 15 runs in the second, and then a tie, it's very fair to say that India getting a lot closer. I certainly think they're improving as the series goes on, and Chetan made an excellent point earlier on that India's batting lineup isn't really firing as a unit. Virat Kohli's got some runs, Jadeja, Ashwin and Dhoni have on occasion performed, but they haven't really performed as a unit. And when they do, and if they should turn it on in Hamilton tomorrow, then New Zealand might well be on the end of a huge score, perhaps having to chase a huge score, or obviously if they're batting first, then India could just chase it down with time to spare. Just want to, as we give Chetan time to come back or not, alert you to a second Cricket World hotspot video we're going to be producing later on today. I'm going to be catching up with Ryan Bailey, who's our Irish cricket correspondent, if you like. We're going to be talking all things Ireland cricket and looking ahead to their participation in the Super 50, which is the West Indies domestic cricket. They're heading over there shortly. They'll be playing 3 of the West Indian sides. A really interesting way for them to prepare for the ICC World 2020 and upcoming challenges for them in the coming, after a wonderful 2013 where they won pretty much everything that they could, the World Cricket League, the Intercontinental Cup and the World 2020 qualifier as well. So that's coming up a little bit later. It does look as if we have lost our communication line with Chetan in Hamilton. It's pretty late there, so we're going to wrap this one up. But thank you for joining me, and I do hope you can join us again here on Cricket World.